Once again, guys, first 5, episode number 14. We're here with Allison Russell. So, being in your experience thus far over the past 5 years and over even just your personal experience, do you find that it's been easy to relate to client experiences yourself, or have you had to like tap into another way of thinking and go, I wonder what it must be like to be in this situation?
No, I mean, I kind of designed my business to have, like, again, I train women. They're not all in larger bodies, but, they have body image issues or, a low fitness level or have had, a negative experience. So, I mean, I kind of picked that for that reason. I think it's important to have a niche because that way you could specialize. And I want to be able to relate to the people I'm working with because I think movement is important. I think it's good for your physical and for your mental health as well. And so I think the more I can relate to what they're going through, the better I can design programs and again, teach them how to love movement so that it becomes this long-lasting relationship and it's consistent and not, I'm going to try to lose weight for 3 months and then I'm not going to train for a year and I'm going to constantly be in this cycle that just makes you feel worse about yourself in the long run. Because I did it for like a decade.
You mentioned that you were married. How does your husband support you in your business?
That's another interesting factor. So my husband was super, super supportive when I started going to the gym and, I started really changing how we ate. I mean, we even went vegan. So he's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that too. He's always been super supportive of me leaving my 10-year career job to start a business out of nowhere.
What were you doing before?
I was a youth worker and program coordinator for the Y for 10 years. So that's the thing. I have a human relations and a counseling background, which has definitely helped
it's a plus.
Quite a bit in this, in especially with my approach and the clientele I work with. I definitely think it's super helpful.
Shout out to everyone who's in human resources. You know what it is? I've been doing that for a while. I understand.
So that's the thing. I went to school and for 10 years relating to other people so that they would confide in me. So it's definitely helped my business, but that's the other thing, right? We make it it's kind of like that. Everybody's the same 24 hours in the day. Also, does everybody have a supportive network? Not necessarily. So if your whole family's not supportive of your health journey, that is going to be another obstacle to health. And I've seen, where, a husband maybe wasn't supportive of the cost of a trainer or the cost of a gym membership, or you're trying to eat healthy, but the rest of your family is kind of ribbing you on it. And so, again, I think once I finally had the right approach, I was lucky. I found the right trainer. I found the right gym. I had a supportive husband. The rest of my family was supportive. I had a lifestyle that allowed me to go to the gym before work very easily. So there's a lot that can line up, and there's a lot of obstacles. And so because I know of all of the obstacles, I feel like I have a good sense of how to help a client find a consistency in a type of program that works for them and their life. I mean, I like getting the messages of saying, I did my workout on my own today and I enjoyed it. I felt better after. You helped me change my relationship with movement. I like to when they get their kids involved, my kid has been seeing me worked out and she asked for a yoga Barbie, that was something that happened. So it's the messages from individual clients that I really like, and seeing, that I've had clients who are still with me 5 years on. So I like that I have a good retention rate. That's why I don't really post that I'm recruiting clients all the time, because if you just keep the clients you have and you give them a good service, which I think is what you should be of service, you know what I mean, to the people that you're working with, rather than trying to get them into this mold,
because
right?
It's not, because as a trainer, and you have a business, you're not trying to have what's that thing called? An open door, a carousel. Clients where it just spins.
Constant turnover.
They're out, they're in, they're out, they're in. It doesn't really make sense. No. I had this conversation with my brother-in-law last night, and I said, I've had clients that have trained for 9 years, 10 years. I've known clients for the duration of time that I've been a trainer. We may not have trained the entire time, but it always ends up being a come back. They might leave for a bit, but they come back. And to me, you maintain that connection. It shows that you're consistent with what you do. They not only respect what you do, but they'll also be able to show people, you know what? At the time that I met Allison, I wasn't in the right frame of mind. But 3 years later, now
that happens too. Yeah.
Right? And it constantly continues to grow, and it shows that person, they themselves are evolving. But it also demonstrates the fact that it's okay to step away.
Yeah.
If you need to. But you'll come back at some point. If the person is able to recognize, and you yourself as a fitness professional is able to present yourself as being a person that they can trust, that is going to be consistent with what they do. They're going to be honest. You're going to be honest with them. I think that that's one thing that sometimes gets clouded over, because yes, you're working with the same person all the time, but it's like being married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're with a person from this phase, honeymoon's over, now you're doing this for the long term. And unfortunately, you're going to hit snags in the road. You're going to hit challenges and obstacles and things that life happens.
Yeah.
But it's how you're able to adapt, how that person is able to adapt. And it's when you learn something, how you're able to apply what you've learned, teaching them something so that they can actually feel like, man, Allison's really good at doing this. And, you know, I told her about this situation, and then she was able to do this. And she never gives me an exercise that doesn't have a modification. Like that in my mind, in my opinion, is a skill and a talent that a lot of people don't have. They kind of are only known to have one thing. Like they're fixed to one thing. And I'll ask you this question. During the pandemic, obviously everyone had to adjust.
Yeah.
Right? You went from being inside to not being inside. How did that fare for you and for what you were doing?
I mean, I had to go online quick. I didn't love it at the beginning, teaching over Zoom. It's now actually 60% of my business.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a lot online, which is great because it's opened up. I have clients in Ontario. I have clients in Huntington, Howick, that area. And it's just convenient for people, right? They don't have to drive. They're just the there and back, even in like the winter. So I definitely had to adapt quickly. And, you know, it was hard. Some of my clients had no equipment. I remember one of my clients went to Fitness Depot. And so she's like, what should I get? And I gave her a list of things. And she writes to me, she's like, okay, I found a band and one 10-pound dumbbell. Because Fitness Depot was cleared out, right? And like for 6 weeks, I had to like come up with sessions with this band and this 10-pound dumbbell and so... And now I've kind of stayed, like I don't even train in a traditional gym anymore. So I have like a home gym that I have, which a lot of my clients like because it's private, right? Plus I have a super cute cat. So that's like a bonus for them. And then a lot of my clients they've invested so much money into equipment that they come see me and then I make them programs for at home. Yeah. So, you know, using like True Coach and having kind of my programs like that, it really did change everything. Like if you would have told me I would have been doing so much online training a few years ago. Yeah. But I like it. I like that I can control the environment because I have my own space and, you know, I have like a positive poster behind me when I'm on Zoom. And so I don't kind of have to deal with a lot of the obstacles I did when I was training in gym. So, you know, for example, like I don't want to work at a gym with a poster that says sweat is your fat crying. Like that's my least favorite one. Or, you know, you have a new client come in and they're in the waiting room and, you know, the chairs always have that's a little tip. If you own a gym and you want to be size inclusive, have chairs that everybody will fit in. You go in for a consultation and like a larger body client can't fit into the chair because with the armrest on both sides I didn't even think of that. It's small or like equipment placed so close together like you can't move around it even if you're thin. But if you're thin, you're not even going to notice, right? But a person in a larger body, that's going to be, everybody's going to see that I can't fit in between. Everybody's looking at me. Everybody's judging me, right?
I didn't even think about that.
Exactly. No, like
that's why it's good to have people like Allison. Because you get reminded of stuff you're going, I didn't even think. Yeah. Wow. That could be the case. People don't realize, I mean, we spoke slightly bit about vocabulary, but you touched on that because I've always recognized the importance of it. The approach that you take with somebody, what you say to them, what they say to themselves. You know, I'm a huge advocate. Everyone who knows me, I've spoken about this 17,000 times. What you say to yourself is the biggest, it's the biggest piece on the table. Because I can tell you 10,000 things over and over. You can tell your clients the same thing. But if they go home or they wake up and they tell themselves something that is somehow gonna kill the momentum because they're talking badly about themselves, they're ashamed of themselves with something, it literally destroys what you've been trying to help them create for themselves. So it's a matter of reversing the whole thing and saying, listen, man, we gotta get out of this frame of mind. But it can be tough. Yeah. It can be very, very tough. Like, what approach do you take with your clients when it comes to...
I mean, I check them when they say stuff like that. You know, like one is sometimes a woman, especially if they've had a baby, I want to get my body back. And I'm like, your body, you still have your body. You don't even get it back.
Yeah.
You know, like just checking that type of vocabulary or, you know, sometimes I remember a client showed me a photo of herself, you know, 20 years and 3 kids ago.
I love that.
Right? And she goes, you know, she was in a bikini and she goes, oh, look at my stomach. And I go, let me ask you a question. I go, were you happy with your body then? And she goes, you know what? No. I go, exactly. Right? You're always going to you need to, whatever your body is, you need to love your body how it is now. Even if you want to change it, if you want to lose 100 pounds, but you need to be like, this is the body I have now. My body is still capable of many things. It still gets me through my day, even if I'm having mobility issues and things like that.
Right.
But if you don't love your body, like you're just going to keep moving the goalposts further and further. So love your body now, start on your journey, start seeing all the health benefits and take it from there. Because especially, I mean, I don't work with men, so it's not my expertise, but I see it a lot with women. They want this body they used to have that they weren't even happy with when they had it then, right? So that's why I think sometimes it's not the best goal to keep somebody going and keep somebody motivated.
Yeah.
Another great exercise that I've done with women to call them out on how they talk to themselves. I'm like, always, you know, your daughter, your niece. Yeah, I even had a client write like a letter to her daughter about how she'd want her to feel about her body. And it's like, you should want to feel that exact same way, right? So kind of sometimes that really works. Like, would you want your daughter to say this? It does make them pause a little bit.
Yeah, people will be very protective of their kids. So that's one thing that definitely I can be certain that will work taking that approach. Body dysmorphia, body image issues, let's tap into that a little bit. Now, that being your clientele, there's something else you mentioned about men. Well, we'll get back to that in a sec. But that being a continued growing problem, I feel I have seen it be still an issue that is like requiring attention.
Yeah.
But somehow it's being like not dying down, but it's being like kind of compressed down and being covered by things that are more distracting, like surgery and, you know, grow taller or, you know, get this enhancement, this is that. What would you say needs to be part of the conversation that will enable us to get to a solution when it comes to taming body dysmorphia? Well, I shouldn't say taming, bad word to use. Not taming, but changing the mentality when it comes to body image issues, body dysmorphia.
I think it needs to be part of your practice. You need to have those conversations with your clients around their body image.
Yeah.
It is like, it's hard. It's hard too, just with social media, because you're constantly comparing yourself to an ideal that probably doesn't exist, right? Like with the amount of Photoshop and, like you said, the surgeries, you know, so I'm all about curating your feed. I don't follow certain people depending on the types of things they post.
Yeah.
And I always just try to keep bringing it back to like, what is your physical capacity, your body's functionality? Like, focus on what you could do versus how you look, because we'll never be happy with how you're always going to want to change. You're always going to want to tweak something. But it is, I mean, I still struggle with it too. I'm also open with my clients about it, right?
Yeah,
like I don't,
it's
not because like I lost 100 pounds and now I'm like, I love my body so much. It's perfect in every way. And every time I look in the mirror, I'm super happy.
Yeah.
It's going to always be a struggle, but it's about checking yourself when you say that stuff and trying to go back. Yeah, but you know what? I deadlifted 200 pounds for the first time yesterday. I walked up the 4 flights to work and wasn't winded. I always try to bring it back to what your body can do, what your body is doing for you. Yeah. But it's hard because it's everywhere, right? There's so many products for your hair and your eyebrows and your it's over your waist trainers. Those don't get started. You know, there's
Listen, no disrespect to anybody who does this as their business, but I'm not about that stuff. Anyways, continue.
But yeah, no, body image, again, how do we solve it? I'd probably, again, be very rich if I had the answer to that question. But I think just talking about it is good, being open about it, being open about your struggles with it, even as a man. I mean, men have body image issues too, which I don't think we talk about enough.
Well, right? You had said something and I was like, you don't have much experience with men. I know men who have severe body image issues. Yeah. And like, you're taken aback. And I know that it has a large part to do with the fact that it's assumed if you're a man, you don't cry. You don't like just some things that become more of like you shouldn't be concerned about that, but they are, because at the end of the day, we're all subjected to the same comparison problem. Right?
Yeah, you're still going to the pharmacy and seeing, Henry Cavill on the cover of Men's Fitness and being like, well, why don't I look like that, right? Like we all have that that feeling, whether you're a man or a woman, but yeah, you were definitely always inundated with how we look. Like I recently started letting my hair go gray and blending it, and even that, like some people are like, why are you doing that? I'm like, does anybody really believe my hair was the color? Like, I just don't. Life is too short. Like I'm never gonna maybe this is morbid, but I'm always on my deathbed. What am I gonna look? I'm gonna look back. I'm not gonna be like, oh, that great hair color or how I looked. It's what did I experience? And your body's capacity enables you to experience. I went to Italy recently and I climbed Mount Vesuvius.
Oh, nice.
Right by Pompeii.
Yeah.
Right? Because my body couldn't have done that 6-7 years ago. That's what matters. And I'm able to do all of these experiences with my body. What it looks like and whether my hair is blonde or it doesn't. I just don't care anymore. Yeah. I don't know if I've gotten to some.
No, I think no. I think at some point it doesn't become a matter of major concern.
Yeah.
It's more of, can you function? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you move this?
Yeah.
Can you move in this way? And I think the more that becomes more of a direction of thought, the less of the emphasis on the body image challenge will be, or the challenge will be sort of not dispelled or completely, but some sort of resolution. Question for you.
Okay.
So on your feed, you posted something, and I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Okay? The longest and arguably the most important relationship you will ever have will be with your body and movement. Mm-hmm. That is why I advocate that your first goal should be to create a relationship that's based on joy and positivity. Find a form of movement that you love. Mm-hmm. Create a routine that fits into your life so every workout does not become another task you need to check off. Focus on your physical capacity. Observe how much stronger you are than last month. Look at how much your mobility has improved. Recognize your progress rather than comparing yourself to an ideal. Comparison is a thief of joy. Mm-hmm. Lastly, pursue body confidence, surrounded by positive people who see your worth for who you are and not what you look like. Any relationship ruled by feelings of fear, judgment, or as means to be determined worthy or to be deemed worthy by others is not one destined for long-term success. I've seen this 3-slider in other posts. Okay. Not these same words, but like the exact concept in other posts that have been reshared. And I definitely think this is something that should be reshared. What motivated you to decide, you know what, today's thoughts, this is what I'm thinking about?
You know what, actually, I was like going over, so I've done size inclusive workshops with the Y, and it's something I'd like to get more into to kind of teach other trainers. And I was just going over a few things for this podcast.
Oh, perfect.
And one of the common, there's all kinds of studies. There's Ipsos did one. There was the English longitudinal study on aging. There's been a few of them where they've identified that fear of judgment is what stops a lot of people from going into gyms and contacting trainers. And that's been my experience as well. And, again, forcing yourself to do routines that you don't enjoy, you don't do them over the long term, right? So it's that we always kind of, especially in January, right? I'm going to join a gym. I'm going to do this because this is what somebody on TikTok said I should do to get into shape. But you don't like it.
Yeah.
Right? You hate it. And it's this thing, again, we all have a long to-do list. And it's this other like, just check it off. You're you're not going to go far doing that. You're not going to have a lifelong relationship, a positive one with movement. And, you want to be able to move well into your later years to enjoy life, to enjoy your kids, your grandkids, your family, your friends. And so it was with that thinking of like, when you start a fitness journey, like what is the first thing you should do? Why? What are the things you should be looking for? And again, surrounding yourself with a trainer who understands your lived experience, who's going to find variations for you, who's not going to demean you or make you feel like you're not as worthy because you're not like the right size. Or again, seeing these toxic, let's get your body bikini ready or whatever the toxic slogan will be, right? So that's really where that came from. Just my experience with fitness and what I see works for my clients really in the long term.
Well, you are clearly impacting the community in more ways than one, even despite the fact that you're not on social media a lot. Because listen, just because you're not on social media a lot doesn't mean you're not doing things. Because
when I post, it's good. It's just not often.
Not all heroes wear capes. Not all heroes are showing their face every day online. I know this because I try my best not to be on it all the time. I too am not really like out here trying to recruit clientele, but it does happen sometimes. But it's more just for the sake of sharing information.
Yeah.
And then connecting with somebody who's like-minded and seeing, what's their thought process? What do they think about these things? Because I think that the more conversations are shared on these topics, especially in like a roundtable format or something, you learn something, they learn something. Now there's opportunity for growth, and everyone can kind of grow through things and stuff. I think that that's more important. That's more needed than the approach that some people take now. But hey, to each his own. How things work is how they work for sure. Last question. Okay, 2023, we're here. What do you focus on changing this year? What do you plan on impacting, or how do you plan on impacting the year? What are we tackling this year?
Right now, I'm like super into kettlebells. Okay. I did a kettlebell certification with Damali Frazier, and my clients love them. Nice. Really love them. A bunch of my clients bought kettlebells, so I'm doing another one with a Gatsu Fitness in Montreal the long weekend. So I'm really working on upping my kettlebell skills, and then I want to offer some trainings to go over the basics with my clients. Okay. I would like to be a bit more impactful on social media. I need to find a way for it to not drain me, or I just find sometimes it takes you out of the moment. You're like, oh wait, let me stop. So I set up my phone and film this. So I do want to be more impactful, and I definitely want to get the message out there. If I can, I have to get started on this, but training other trainers. Like I would love to see, I did the Y certification. I would love to see it be a chapter in the basic theory component. I would love to go to gyms and kind of spread the message more in person, where it could be a dialogue like this.
For sure.
Like I like social media, but I enjoy talking to people.
100%.
And so I would love to kind of get the message more out there in that capacity, and just, again, more kettlebell training for a variety of bodies and giving those types of tips. Because I think it's a great, efficient way to move. And to a lot of my student apartments, it doesn't take up any space, right? Buy a few kettlebells. It's a great way to make fitness accessible. So more kettlebell work, and hopefully more working directly, kind of having these discussions with trainers like you.
Appreciate that. I think it'd be awesome. I really appreciate the time that you took to come and to get a conversation like this off the hand. If you were to leave our audience with one thing, one quote, one thought, one idea that can close this off in a good way, obviously not close it forever, because there will be more opportunities to have conversations, what would it be?
When you meet somebody in the fitness capacity, don't make assumptions. Try to learn as much as you can about their lived experience, even if it's not your lived experience, like how I share the lived experience with a lot of my clients. And, just remember, I don't think shaming anybody ever motivated them to make positive change in their life. So be compassionate, be empathetic, and be willing to adapt based off of your client and their lived experience and some of the fears that they're dealing with when they get started with you. I think it could really go a long way to you impacting their life long term. And it's good for business. It's good for business.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Allison, for coming by. As you guys know, the First Five podcast, new name, same energy, is available for download on Spotify, Apple, Google, Breaker, and other streaming platforms, courtesy of Anchor. If you're watching this right now, it's going to be available on YouTube. We're setting up a brand new channel. We're going to get some things going so you'll be able to get this episode fully available on there. Obviously, we'll have some edits in there to make sure that everything is running smoothly, but on Spotify, it'll also be edited and available for you guys coming very soon. If you're on Instagram, make sure that you follow us at The First Five Podcast, and for free daily fitness and motivational content, make sure that you follow Good Fit Fitness as well, and make sure that you guys are following the Love Body Coach. I'll make sure I have Allison's information in our episode description so that you guys can check her out. Check out her cool quotes. She has lots of good videos. She provides so much energy, so much great positive energy, and we're inclusive of everybody, regardless of what your shape or size is, your gender. Everybody needs to have an opportunity to be the best version of themselves, not only just in 2023, but going forward altogether. So we do appreciate you coming through.
Thanks for having me.
With us, Allison. It's your boy, Coach K, Allison Russell. Thank you so much. Enjoy, guys. Peace out.